In order to change the worksheet's layout, there are tools like inserting and deleting columns or rows. However, sometimes you'll want to move data to a different location. Sometimes, rather than retyping information, you might want to copy information from one location to another. Move and copy are quite similar. At times, moving and copying data can be a multi-step process. You can use the mouse to drag the data to different locations. So there are different ways to move and copy information. Say in this particular worksheet, you want to de-emphasize this information. So you want to keep it on the screen, but instead of having it displayed close to the other data, you just want to move it down. One way to move information is by using the cut and paste feature. It's not the best method, but if you are trying to move data across many rows or columns, this is probably the best way. So after clicking and dragging the selected data on the Home tab on the ribbon, if you want to move this, you can select the scissors, which mean cut. At the bottom of the screen, there's a prompt which says select destination and press enter or choose paste. So we'll put this on row 21. Click here and then choose paste and press enter. This may be the best way to move data, especially if you're moving data to a different worksheet or a different location. Now, I shall undo this by pressing Ctrl Z and show another way to do this, and that is by using keyboard shortcuts. The two most common keyboard shortcuts in Excel are probably Ctrl X for cut and Ctrl C for copy. And you also have Ctrl V, which is for paste. So highlight this data and Ctrl X to cut. Go to a different location and Ctrl V to paste. Again, we'll just undo this by pressing Ctrl Z. Another way of moving data is by selecting it and just pointing to one of the four edges. You can put the mouse pointer on one of the edges and it becomes a four-way arrow, then click and drag wherever you want them, then release. If there are formulas there, they also get adjusted. Now at times you may want to keep the data in its current location and make a copy of it. This is a projection of data. You may want to experiment with some numbers without messing up the numbers we already have. So we can make a copy of the information. So one of the standard techniques is using the ribbon, the copy button, right below the scissors, copy or Ctrl C for the shortcut, copy the data. We could put this at the bottom to experiment with it. Then select destination and press enter or choose paste. This time press enter and the data appears. An advantage of using Ctrl V is after copying only once, you can paste multiple times. So if you want to paste data into multiple places, you could go to the various locations and press Ctrl V each time to paste. There's also a shortcut for copying data. So we'll press Ctrl Z to undo this copy-paste action. So for this we have to drag data, but we also have to use the Control key. When we drag the data and hold down the button, a tiny little plus accompanies the arrow. So we have to hold down Control as we drag this data to a different location. But make sure you don't release the mouse button before the key once you reach the location you want to copy to. So you've copied the data here and it still remains above too. So now let's move this data back up close to the other data. We just drag the data upwards. Now if you look closely, you'll notice here that row 4 has sales, row 5 expenses, then profits, and then in row 9 it's calculating the percent of sales change, but then it's profits and expenses again, and this looks like it's in the wrong order. The order here should be the same as what's above. So one way to adjust this is that we could insert a new row or move the data to remove the empty row, but it's really easy to just move and insert the data. So what we can do here is take this data and move it up and place it between the sales and profit percent changes. So we select the data, and as we're about to drag it, hold down the shift key, and as we drag upward the indicator looks slightly different. As we drag it up, the shift key is still held down, so we let go of the mouse first and we've moved and inserted the data up above. This could also be done for the entire row. You could also move columns. So maybe in this certain section of the worksheet, which contains this kind of data, and we change our mind about the layout. we want the department column to come after the employee name column. So instead of inserting a new column to the left of column N, we just click column O and then drag left or right edge with the shift key held down, then release the mouse. You can do that with multiple columns, and you can move and insert left or right. So there's many techniques to change the worksheet layout by moving data, copying data, or by moving and inserting data by cells, columns, or rows.